Next up is Matt Fellows. He's the CEO of Hello Wallet, and he's kind of a consumer finance expert. He kind of wants to put money back in our wallets to help us to make better decisions with our consumer purchases and so forth. And I'm excited to hear about our future path to prosperity. Matt Fellows.
Right. Hey, everyone. Okay, so my prediction for the future is that you're going to be richer in the future than you are today. Now, that actually might not seem like a bold prediction, but because we're just so optimistic in this country. In fact, the majority of American kids think that they can grow up to become superheroes. And some of us actually do grow up to become superheroes, but most of us don't. And it's not just kids that are really optimistic. The majority of adults think that they can get rich in this country, too. But the odds are really stacked against us. Only about 2% of us will actually climb up the economic ladder in our lifetimes and actually become rich. And another crazy stat, the majority of kids born into wealthy families will actually die poor or die in the middle class. So there's not as much economic mobility in this country as we think. Now, everyone, of course, talks about the fact that we love to shop, and that's certainly one reason why. I mean, we trample each other sometimes when there's big sales. But we're not going to start getting ahead in the future, and you're not going to start getting rich in the future because you stop shopping. That would just cut too deeply against our culture, and it's never worked before, and we would love to shop. It'd also be no fun. Instead, I think that we're going to be able to start getting ahead in the future, and economic mobility will increase because of another hole in our wallet, which is often not talked about, and that's the fact that every year we're losing about $100 billion unnecessarily because of our difficulty using financial service products. It's just a stunning amount of money, and that's a very conservative estimate. So lots of examples, couple for tonight. One is in the overdraft market. We spent, everybody I'm sure is overdrafted at one time. We've spent collectively $30 billion on overdrafts. The really crazy stat, 70% of the people that pay overdrafts have savings at the bank that they're overdrawing at that could cover those overdrafts. Another example in the mortgage market, we're wasting unnecessarily about $60 billion every year because millions of people haven't refinanced when they stand to financially benefit from doing so. So when you add up those examples and dozens of others, our efforts to get ahead in this country really look a lot like Sisyphus, where we work harder and harder and harder and more hours, but we're really not able to convert our hard work into economic mobility. So my big prediction, hopefully it feels a little bigger now after all those stats, is that we really will be able to plug that hole in our wallets going forward and invest that $100 billion in our economic prosperity and in our, whether it's retirement savings or education savings. And we're going to be able to do that because all of you in this room and millions of other people around you, around the country, are going to be able to take advantage of the fact that the banking industry, where you're losing all that money, is going to start to look a lot more like the healthcare industry. So what do I mean by that? Lots of things, but for tonight in this short speech, when we get sick, we go to see a doctor, and hopefully not this doctor, but we go to see a doctor, and they tell us what's wrong with us and what medicine we need and what procedures we need. No one diagnoses themselves. But when we think about using bank products, we're pretty much all by ourselves today trying to figure out how to use these bloody complicated products. And it's just not working anymore because they've become so complicated to use. In the future, though, because of technology, we can, for the first time, democratize access to financial advice. It's something that only 20% of Americans are able to afford right now because it's the old brick-and-mortar model where you sit down and talk to the other person and share your life stories. That advice is going to come in lots of different forms. One of them, of course, will come online. There's a lot of, as I'm sure you're all aware of, a lot of innovation happening right now online, providing financial advice for basically nothing. Another example is buying clubs, where today when you buy a credit card or a mortgage or a student loan or whatever it is, you're pretty much by yourself. And it's like Las Vegas. You're going to lose that battle. But because we have technology, we can now aggregate up consumers that can collectively exercise leverage over financial institutions to get better deals. Unions, alumni associations are already doing this. But they're passing those savings on to cover furloughs and administrative costs and so on. Using technology, though, we can duck a lot of those costs, and instead, those savings, and it's serious savings, like hundreds of millions of dollars, can be passed on to consumers if we collectively join our buying power. So those are just two of many, many examples of entrepreneurial options and opportunities that are available right now, because there's so much money unnecessarily being wasted by consumers. And this crisis is really waking us up to that fact. So bottom line is that I think in the future, we are going to be able to plug that hole in our wallets. We are going to be able to put that $100 billion towards our prosperity and get ahead, because we are going to be able to democratize advice. Thank you.